In New South Wales, politicians worked well into the wee small hours of the morning to pass legislation in the upper house on workers' compensation. But it wasn't without some changes. Firefighters and other emergency service workers are exempt. One of the groups who's welcomed the reforms is the New South Wales Business Chamber, and its CEO Stephen Cartwright joins me now. Stephen Cartwright, thanks very much for your time. You've praised the New South Wales Premier. You've called this reform bold and decisive, and you claim that if it hadn't gone ahead, almost 13,000 jobs could have been at risk.
Yes, that's right. The surveys that we did suggested that if the premiums in New South Wales were increased by 28%, as was being suggested, that it was going to be necessary to try to accommodate the over $4 billion black hole that was sitting there in the scheme as it was, that there would be at least 13,000 jobs lost across the state. And we become incredibly uncompetitive. Our premiums are already higher than Queensland and Victoria, and so really at the end of the day, an unsustainable workers' comp system really just ends up costing jobs.
Now, this is an overhaul of work cover in New South Wales. It's going to cap benefits and medical expenses for injured workers. It's designed to rein in about a $4 billion deficit, but the government was forced to back down on applying these changes to firefighters and paramedics. We saw that protest yesterday. Now, they join members of the police force in being exempt. That's got to be a good move.
Yes, I think it is. I think that emergency services workers are a special case, particularly when it comes to the journey claims part of the work cover legislation, where you really do want a firefighter or a paramedic to be able to attend to somebody on their way to or from work without having to be concerned about whether they're covered by workers' compensation laws or not.
The Treasurer of New South Wales, Mike Baird, he's admitted that these laws are controversial. The opposition says New South Wales now has the most harsh workplace injury laws in Australia, and that the changes to workers' compensation will hurt ordinary people. What do you say to that claim?
Well, I think the opposition is actually not necessarily correct, because a lot of the changes simply bring the New South Wales laws finally into line with the laws that apply in our most competitive other states like Victoria. So in our opinion, these changes have been well overdue. But I think the change in emphasis that this new legislation heralds, and that is the real focus on getting injured workers back to work as quickly as possible. This is the big change that we're pleased about, because it's actually better for the injured worker to be back to work as quickly as possible as well. So it's a change in emphasis away from simply continuing to throw compensation at the problem and actually focusing on the better outcome, which is to get injured workers back to work as soon as possible.
But if this plunges New South Wales into industrial chaos, as Unions New South Wales has said, that's going to cost the state.
Look, I guess that's a matter for the unions to consider their response, but what I will say is this, that if you continue to lift premiums to levels that were being suggested in terms of the affordability of the old scheme, then we're really talking about a hypothetical problem, because the jobs will simply disappear and go to Queensland, go to Victoria. So in the end of the day, you need to find the right balance between having an affordable system, having one that looks after workers that are injured, and there's no argument about that, but really heavily focusing on working with the injured workers to get them back to work. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, the unions are just going to have to deal with the realities of the situation that we're all in.
Stephen Cartwright, I do thank you very much for speaking to us on Newsday. Appreciate your time. Stephen Cartwright there, the CEO of the New South Wales Business Chamber. It's about 7 minutes to 1 Eastern Time. Good to have your company on Newsday. Sam has joined me with all the sport and some very sad news in the NRL, Sam.
Yeah, that's right, Selena.